that was one of the concerns I remember during that leadership race was, of course, a lot of the campaign things were, getting the Alberta pension plan going, getting an Alberta police force, and firing Dina Henshaw and all that stuff. But one of the concerns was, how much are we going to have to pay out? how much is this going to cost a taxpayer if we just boot Dina Henshaw? And so that was one of the things that they wanted to be careful about talking about, because if they promised to do that and then had to do that, they didn't know how much it was going to cost them. But
as it goes from one government to another. So, for example, the NDP government had signed a $650 million deal for the AHS Super Lab to be built in Edmonton. And actually, they had grabbed a bunch of land from University of Alberta to have that lab built that was meant to be for student housing. And so they pushed through this deal, again, for their friends in PCL Construction, which was the construction mafia that NDP liked to funnel billions of Alberta taxpayer dollars to. Well, UCP didn't want to have anything to do with that, and so they canceled the deal. And there was no shovels in the ground. I mean, I live close by. There was absolutely no work that was done on that construction project, and yet the cancellation itself cost something like $20 to $30 million in penalties, and they had to grass over the field or something like that. And I think it turns out now that they're going to have to spend $90 million in total canceling this deal because of the way it was set up. So absolutely, I mean, the public sector, which is rife with corruption, they make sure that they can outlast a government that they don't agree with. And that's how it was with Jason Kenney and his government, is that AHS basically flexed its muscle during Jason Kenney's government. And I don't know if you remember, but Kenney would do these things, would say, we're never doing vaccine mandates or anything like that. We're never doing anything of that like that in Alberta. And he would put up the Great Reset book by Klaus Schwab, and he would say, oh, look at these crazy guys, these crazy globalists, and they want this Great Reset and so on. And then within weeks, he would flip and he would be like completely compliant. And during the pandemic, the persecution of Christians happened because not just because of the lockdowns that were sort of going through Dina Henshaw's office as the public health chief, and Dina Henshaw was a leftist. She was appointed by Rachel Notley, but also because Alberta Health Services had the power to enforce those lockdowns and the penalties. And what AHS would do is they would go to their favorite corrupt judges. So, for example, in Calgary, they have favorite corrupt judge, Associate Chief Justice Rook, who was one of the most corrupt judges in Alberta's history. They would go to him. He would give them whatever court order they wanted, and they could then go to the police and say, well, these guys like Pastor Arthur Pawlowski or Chris Scott from the Whistle Stop Cafe, these guys are in violation of the court order we just got from our favorite corrupt judge, Justice Rook. Now we can use the police to arrest them for violating that court order, and that's exactly what pastors who were not compliant during the lockdowns, and basically made Alberta a mockery throughout the world, in the way